لله نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله اشترى من المؤمنين أنفسهم وأموالهم بأن لهم جنة صدق الله العظيم. Respected elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What is the matter with you? This is what you say to someone after they have done something really silly and you can't understand how they could be so foolish. A simple example is when you tell a kid not to put the glass of water at the edge of the table because they will knock it over. And a few moments later, the glass gets knocked over. Your reaction would be, "What's wrong with you? I just told you not to do it and you didn't listen." What's wrong with you or what's the matter with you is something you would say to scold someone for doing something that you warned against. Ma'alakum. This phrase or question is used by Allah in the Quran a few times. The first instance that we will look at is the address to the sinners. In Surah Mudathir, verse 49 to 51 we read, "Then what is the matter with them that they turn away from admonition, as if they were affrighted donkeys fleeing from a lion?" The description here is of how quickly the sinners run away from someone wanting to impart some guidance and warnings to them, not wanting to hear any of it. But before these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the situation of the sinners in the year after and what led them there. Verses 41 to 48 of the same surah reads, "And ask of the sinners what led you into the fire. They will say, we were not of those who prayed, nor were we of those who fed the indigent, but we used to talk vanities with vain talkers, and we used to deny the day of judgment, until there came to us the hour that is certain. Then will no intercession of any intercessors profit them. Then what is the matter with them that they turn away from admonition?" A list of characteristics that will result in entering the fire of hell are mentioned in these verses. If only the sinners would have listened a bit to the warners, they would have known this and perhaps amended their conduct. To explain this further, we look at Surah Hadid, verses 8 and 9. "What cause have you why you should not believe in Allah, and the Messenger invites you to believe in your Lord, and has indeed taken your covenant, if you are a man of faith? He is the one who sends to his servant manifest signs that he may lead you from the depths of darkness into the light. And verily Allah is to you most kind and merciful." Here again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the rejectors and explains the reason why the messengers were sent. The clear signs that the messengers brought are there for the guidance of mankind, to lead them out of darkness into light. For Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this was the Quran, as is stated in the first verse of Surah Ibrahim, which we are fortunate to have with us till today. The verse above ends with the names of Allah, of Ra'uf and Rahim, which translate as most kind and most merciful, telling us that the clear ayat are there for us out of the kindness and mercy of Allah, so that we can surely be guided into the light if we follow it. The second example we can look at is of the different partners that people set up with Allah. Surah Safat verses 149 to 159 reads, "Now ask them their opinion. Is it that your Lord has only daughters and they have sons? Or that we created the angels female and they are witnesses thereto? Is it not that they say from their own invention, Allah has begotten children, but they are liars? Did he then choose daughters rather than sons? What is the matter with you? How judge you? Will you not then receive admonition? Or have you an authority manifest? Then bring you your book of authority if you be truthful." And they have invented a blood relationship between him and the jinns. But the jinns know quite well that they have indeed to appear before his judgment seat. Glory to Allah, He is free from the things they ascribe to Him. These verses address the various false beliefs that existed and some that probably still exist today of deification of other beings, like that of Allah having a son. Again, we see that Allah asks, what is the matter that you do not take heed of the message sent to them? Also important in this set of verses is that Allah asks them to bring Him their book of authority that justifies their strange beliefs. On a similar point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses those that take partners with Him more directly in Surah Yunus verses 34 to 36. Say, of your partners, can any originate creation and repeat it? Say, it is Allah who originates creation and repeats it. Then how are you deluded away from the truth? Say, of your partners, is there any that can give any guidance towards truth? Say, it is Allah who gives guidance towards truth. Is then he who gives guidance to truth more worthy to be followed, or he who finds not guidance himself unless he is guided? What then is the matter with you? How judge you? But most of them follow nothing but fancy. Truly fancy can be of no avail against truth. Verily Allah is well aware of all that they do. Once again, the point that comes through from these verses is what is the matter with people that they refuse to follow the guidance of Allah. They prefer to follow dhann, which can be translated as conjecture, opinion, or imagination. It is only from following the opinions of others rather than the guidance of Allah, which for us is the Quran, that one can set up partners with Allah or call upon others other than Allah. Some Muslims unfortunately also fall into the trap of calling on others other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or alongside Allah, but this clearly will be of no use, as Surah Isra verses 56 to 57 state, say, call on those besides Him whom you fancy. They have neither the power to remove your troubles from you, nor to change them. Those whom they call upon do desire for themselves means of access to the Lord. Even those who are nearest, they hope for His mercy and fear His wrath, for the wrath of Allah is something to take heed of. This scolding from Allah, asking mankind what is the matter with them, is not reserved for sinners and unbelievers only. The Muslims are also scolded at places, as we will see. The first type of believer that is scolded is the one that does not want to spend for the cause of Allah. Surah Hadid verses 10 to 11 inform us, in what cause have you that you should not spend in the cause of Allah? For to Allah belongs the heritage of the heavens and the earth. Not equal among you are those who spent freely and fought before the victory with those who did so later. Those are higher in rank than those who spent freely and fought afterwards. But to all has Allah promised a goodly reward, and Allah is well acquainted with all that you do. Who is he that will loan to Allah a beautiful loan? For Allah will increase it manifold to His credit, and He will have besides a liberal reward. There are 2 points that I would like to highlight from these verses. The first is that when the good cause that you are giving your money to seems unlikely to be successful, with all the challenges and difficulties that will be experienced being quite obvious, it is more loved by Allah than when the same cause is well established and the benefits of spending on that cause can be seen by all. The second point is that the word that is used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to describe what is spent in His cause is qardan, which translates as a loan. A loan by definition is something that is borrowed with the expectation to be given back. So by the use of the word loan, we are being assured that what is spent in the cause of Allah will surely be returned to us. To confirm this, Surah Saba, verse 39 reads as follows, say, verily my Lord enlarges and restricts the sustenance to such of His servants as He pleases, and nothing do you spend in the least in His cause, but He replaces it, for He is the best of those who grant sustenance. In fact, not only will it be replaced, but it will be repaid in multiples, as the parable in Surah Baqarah verse 261 explains, hundreds of times to the value. The parable of those who spend their substance in the way of Allah is that of a grain of corn. It grows 7 years, and each year has 100 grains. Allah gives manifold increase to whom He pleases, and Allah cares for all, and He knows all things. So now, after knowing that the wealth which you spend in the cause of Allah is viewed as something that will be repaid, possibly multiple times the value initially given, we can understand why Allah scolds the believers that they do not want to spend in His cause. Now, knowing about the rewards for spending in His cause, when we do spend in the cause of Allah, our intention shouldn't be for the rewards, but rather the best way to spend is to seek the pleasure of Allah, as mentioned in Surah Al-Layl, verse 18 to 20. Those who spend their wealth for increase in self-purification and have in their minds no favor from anyone for which a reward is expected in return, but only the desire to seek the countenance of the Lord Most High. The last verse on spending in the cause of Allah that I would like to quote leads to the next type of believer that is scolded by Allah. Surah Baqarah verse 195 reads, "And spend of your substance in the cause of Allah, and make not your own hands contribute to your destruction, but do good, for Allah loves those who do good." This verse is telling us that if we don't spend Allah's cause, we are effectively killing ourselves, because the cause suffers, and as a result, we suffer as well. The second type of believer that is scolded by Allah is the one who is reluctant to go out in the cause of Allah. Surah Tawbah verse 38 informs us, "O you believe, what is the matter with you, that when you are asked to go forth in the cause of Allah, you cling heavily to the earth? Do you prefer the life of this world to the year after? But little is the comfort of this life as compared with the year after." When the command to go out in the cause of Allah comes, some believers are sluggish in their response, or as we say, they are dragging their feet. This reluctance is expanded on a bit more in Surah Nisa verses 77 and 78. If you not turn your vision to those who were told to hold back their hands from fight, but establish regular prayers and spend in regular charity, when at length the order for fighting was issued to them, behold, a section of them feared men as, or even more than, they should have feared Allah. They said, "Our Lord, why have you ordered us to fight? Would you not grant us respite to our natural term near enough? Say, short is the enjoyment of this world, the year after is the best for those who do right. Never will you be dealt with unjustly in the very least. Wherever you are, death will find you out, even if you are in towers built up strong and high. If some good befalls them, they say, this is from Allah. But if evil, they say, this is from you. Say, all things are from Allah, but what has come to these people that they fail to understand a single fact." There are a couple of points to note from these verses. The first is that some people may be too hasty to fight, or wanting to retaliate too quickly for wrongs done to them. But after things seem to have been cooled off, the same people are reluctant to take action when it's really needed. Secondly, the reason for this reluctance is the fear for death, which could be the result of the love, or rather the attachment to this world. The scolding for not wanting to fight in the cause of Allah to free the oppressed people from an oppressor is mentioned in Surah Nisa, verse 75. And why should you not fight in the cause of Allah, and of those who, being weak, are ill-treated and oppressed, men, women, and children, whose cry is, "Our Lord, rescue us from this tower, whose people are oppressors, and raise for us from you one who will protect, and raise for us from you one who will help." Just as with spending in His cause, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't tell us to fight in His cause without letting us know how we benefit from it. Surah Nisa verse 74 informs us, "Let those fight in the cause of Allah who sell the life of this world for the year after. To him who fights in the cause of Allah, whether he is slain or gets victory, soon shall we give him a reward of great value." This verse clearly tells us that there is no losing cause if it is fighting in the cause of Allah. The believers are always the winners, no matter what is the outcome. What I have covered in today's talk are some instances that we find in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala scolds the rejectors, and also where He scolds the Muslims for acting so foolish. The rejectors are scolded for running away from the messengers rather than listening to them. They also preferred following the opinions and conjecture of others rather than following the clear verses of the Quran. For their guidance. Although addressed to the rejectors and sinners, the believers should take heed of these warnings that Allah has given. As regard to the scolding of believers, it covered two aspects. The first is spending for the cause of Allah, and the second is going out in the cause of Allah. The reluctance is foolish, as the rewards mentioned are more than what is sacrificed. I conclude with verse 111 from Surah Tawbah, which covers both these aspects. Allah has purchased of the believers their persons and their goods, for theirs in return is the garden of paradise. They fight in His cause and slay and are slain, a promise binding on Him in truth through the law, the gospel and the Quran. And who is more faithful to His covenant than Allah? They rejoice in the bargain which you have concluded. That is the achievement supreme. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.